start out with how each of you got involved with this project. So Ward, I'll start with you.
Okay. Yeah, I got involved in this project through typical audition situation. My reps in New York had me go on tape with casting out of LA that came to New York, and I came and read with Annabelle, a little chemistry read. It actually was like 2 months after I'd originally auditioned before I found out that we were doing a chemistry read, which was quite exciting. A lot of times that stuff goes off and you never hear about it again. But yeah, I think we got together, I guess we had some chemistry, and it worked out.
Annabelle?
I did the same. I was actually filming in Europe, and I sent a tape to John Leonetti, and he responded well, and then I had actually Skyped with him on Christmas Day, because it was moving that fast, and yeah, within a couple of days I was in Los Angeles and testing with Ward here, the charming American, and the rest is history.
And can you tell us about who you play and a little bit about your character?
I play Mia Form. She is a kind of housewife in the late 60s, dealing with she's pregnant, and she is quite an interesting character because for me it was clear that there was something about her that had, she was very intuitive, and she's quite quiet. It's the early 70s, but she's still of another time. She's a classic heroine in this type of movie, and she's quite a subtle storm of a person, quite a interesting little silent storm, I like to call her. Yeah.
And Ward?
I played the role of John Form, Mia's husband, and I'm finishing up medical school. Hoping to be placed in a residency program, and I would say that John is a loving father, and he's an expectant. He's a loving husband, expectant father, and kind of just does what he has to do to protect his family, which I think most husbands and fathers would do, and a lot goes on. A lot of scary stuff goes on that he has to do that, and he has to step up to the plate. And I think for me, it's interesting how you would react in a situation like this. In this film, his life, as he knows it, is threatened. His wife and daughter, and for me, it's interesting to find out how would I react in that situation.
Yeah. And there are a couple that are dealing with a lot of the social changes of the time. It's I think there's a lot of pressure on them as a couple. There's the fact they're pregnant, and what's interesting about the story is that you could also confuse, what's happening with the traumas that they're going through with what's happening within American culture at the time and the social changes of the time, and but I think at the core of it is a strong family unit, and two people that hopefully you enjoy and kind of fall in love with, and believe that they love each other very much, and that they're willing to fight to the end to get over this traumatic experience.
Yeah, you want to root for him.
Yeah.
Now, how does Annabelle come into the story? How does she get introduced in this story?
Well, my character, Mia, she is a collector of dolls, bespoke, lovely-looking things.
Very
and
lovely.
She's been searching for this one particular doll, and as a gift, a kind of moving
We call it a push present here in the
push
United States.
present.
Yes.
He gives her this lovely-looking doll.
She asked for it, though. She asked for
I
this
apparently
doll.
begged for it. And that's how she comes into our life. And there's a moment, I felt very much that, there was like a moment where she's just transfixed by this thing. It's almost foreshadowing that she knows something. There's like an energy there. There's that scene where
So why did you take the doll if you knew that something bad was going to happen?
She's masochistic. Slightly dark behind that blonde veneer.
Yeah, no, the joy didn't last very long. She, we had stuff happens the night that I give it to her, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah.
Now we have a great edition of Alfre Woodard.
Yes.
Can you talk about working with her more?
She's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. I obviously she's a legend. I was Do you remember when we first shot that first scene? The first time that I meet her, you introduced her to me outside, and I was a little starstruck, I guess, because the line is me. I say, "Hi, I'm John," and the first thing I said was, "Hi, I'm Ward."
Yeah.
Totally ruined the take. I was kind of in my own, I definitely was a little starstruck. She's amazing. She was so sweet, so giving. She did a 5-minute video for my daughter, who was studying Mandela at the time in school. And she offered to do this video where she talks about her experience with Mandela and the time that she had spent with him, and it was amazing. I mean, for her just to offer to do that, and then, yeah, it made my daughter's day. She was loving it.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I think someone like Alfre really adds a weight to the film, and I remember when they hadn't cast that role yet, and they were talking about who they were going to get on board, and when she signed on, I think for me it really made me very excited about the movie and the prospect of working with someone of that caliber. And when you're around someone like that as an actor, you just want to sit back and observe and take the lessons that you have in front of you. And she's a tour de force. She's an actress, but many other things, and it was wonderful to work with her.
That's great. Now, what do you hope that what do you think audiences can expect out of this film?
They will be scared.
They won't want to go home.
They may never look at a doll again in the same way.
They will. Hopefully, we'll have a lot of Annabelle doll Halloween costumes. That would mean it's huge, right? If that's what you see at Halloween.
Yeah.
A lot of Halloween costumes.
I think it's different. I think it's a throwback to a time where the genre was very celebrated. In the 70s, there's such iconic time for horror, and I do feel it's a definite homage to that time, to Polanski, to Kubrick, to all the greats of that era. And I think we have such an intelligent audience nowadays that it's important to give them something that they feel is justifies where we're at as a collective audience. You know what I mean? Like it's quite it's different in that it's not what you expect. There's a subtlety there. There's a psychological element. There's nothing obvious, and I think the mind games that you play with yourself when watching it make it more of an interesting piece of cinema.
Well, I think that's what that John and our creative team has done so well, is everything is based in reality, and there were no shortcuts, there were no gimmicky things. It was it's all going to feel very real. So I hope that people feel that they've been through an experience together, and they came out the other side.
Yeah, and it's scarier that it stems from truth, from case files that are real. I mean, yes, we've for cinematic purposes, we've embellished the stories, but it does stem from a truth, and I think that's far scarier when you can look at something and think it's so far-fetched and so far removed from your reality, but really it came from someone's truth, whether or not you believe or not.
Right.